effective treatment, period. Plus, we accept all major private insurance carriers for your convenience. For more, call 213-5728 or click ercare24.com. Signature Care Emergency Center, located on Texas Avenue South, across from Kohl's.
Ford of Navasota, Zwerneman Flooring, the Bacon Trust Bryant College Station, Pioneer Steel, the Sleep Station, Rudy's Barbecue, and Hargrove Crop Insurance. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Now that's some good bull. You're listening to the flagship of Aggie Athletics, Sports Radio 1150 and The Zone 102.7 FM.
Every day, more than 4,000 children and young adults begin experimenting with prescription drugs. These drugs range from pain relievers and depressants to stimulants and over-the-counter medicines. Teens believe that since these drugs were prescribed by a doctor, they provide an inexpensive, legal, and medically safe high, which is not the Cure Meds. For more information or tips on how to lock your meds, contact Robertson County Zero Tolerance Coalition at 1-866-448-1699. Tired of paying high prices for auto parts? What you need are quality used and aftermarket parts that sell for a fraction of the price. Doggett Auto Parts specializes in used, new, and rebuilt parts for all makes and models. If they don't have what you're looking for, they'll locate it on their hotlines. Doggett works with insurance companies, body shops, garages, and walk-in customers. If you're looking for an inexpensive way to repair or fix the vehicle you drive, or just looking for parts, come see the Toomer family at 3601 Old Curtin Road in Bryan for the parts you're looking for at the best price in town, guaranteed. Owned and operated for over 50 years.
Hi, I'm Nate Bender, host of Checkpoint XP, gaming radio for gamers by gamers. Join me and my friends every Saturday night at 10 here on Sports Radio 1150 and The Zone 102.7 FM as we talk about the latest news and events from around the world of video games and the esports scene. Every Saturday night from 10 till midnight, you can hear Checkpoint XP here on The Zone, or you can catch us on demand at the Pod Center at zone1150.com.
We are back, Louis Beliucci Show. I'm live inside the Doggett Auto Parts studio on a Monday. Doggett Auto Parts. Go find them online. That's how you can get the phone. DoggettAutoParts.com. Don't forget, Beliucci Hour lunch, 10 minutes. Billy and Ryan back at the tap. Monday, Thursday. Now, that's new, because in the fall, it was Tuesday, Thursday. So people, Monday, Tuesday. I'm so confused. Beliucci Hour of spring 2019. When we hit 105, I'll be back in the saddle again. I shall return to the Doggett Auto Parts studio. And at 1:35, Joe Sheehan Sports Illustrated. Half of the teams in Major League Baseball and get 1/3 ownership of the Dallas Cowboys if he goes to the Oakland A's. I made that all up. Also, promoted from within, their quarterbacks coach, James Cooley, is now their offensive coordinator. He was the OC at Miami from 2013. Prior to Miami, 247 Sports. LSU avoided getting poached. Their DB's coach, Corey Raymond, is staying at LSU. Georgia tried to poach him. It's almost like a DB's coach from LSU is a unicorn. It's a precious platinum gold. Gone. NFL draft. Line games of the season by a defender. Gone. Thrown in the secondary to LSU. There's this recruit in Louisiana, 5-star kid, Ishmael Sofsher, Louisiana native. Saturday, he announced his top 7 schools: Bama, LSU, Ole Miss, Oregon, and Texas A&M. I thought that was a little bit interesting. Greg Schiano, why do you care? I don't know. It was just on my list of notes. I'm sorry. Coaching carousel type stuff. Looks like the Patriots is where Greg Schiano is headed next. That'll do it for hour 1. There's a lot more to go. We're just getting started on a Monday. This is the Louis Beliucci Show, powered by teamofnavasota.com. This is the Louis. You know I love Joe Sheehan. If you hang out with me, you know Joe and I and talking MLB. And we will go out to the Smoothie King hotline, but that's at 1:35. And all guests, you know, Braden Gall, Mitch Light, Cedric Golden, they don't live in town, so they can't just drive by and now has 2 locations in College Station. They have the one, you've been there, Texas and Holloman in front of the HEB, but they're brand new locations on the corner of Rock Prairie and Highway 6. I got to go. It's lunchtime on the Louis Beliucci Show. And lunchtime is thanks to Rudy's Barbecue.
Some say a dog is a man's best friend. But I tell you what, boys, you better think
Cardinals coach Steve Wilks, their new defensive coordinator, as well as Todd Monken taking over the offensive play calling duties. Gary Kubiak had a change of heart and decided against becoming the Broncos offensive coordinator. According to reports, he'll interview with the Jaguars for the same position. And have played better since a 10-10 start. They've won 15 of 21, but inconsistencies remain. They take on the Nets tonight after back-to-back losses. And
we're trying to get to the finals, so trying to play a position right now, trying to get a great seed. Like, we can't be comfortable being in fifth. I'm not comfortable in it.
The Spurs host the Hornets as Tony Parker returns to San Antonio for the first time since leaving as a free agent over the summer. Parker spent 17 seasons in a Spurs uniform and won 4 over the Hornets coaching reigns. The top 10 and the AP top 25 remains unchanged. It's still Duke at the top, and the Blue Devils, coming off a buzzer beater over Florida State over the weekend, will host Syracuse tonight. In a sad note, former 5-time All-Star Mel Stottlemyre won 20 games on 3 occasions with the Yankees over 11 seasons, has passed away at the age of 77. I'm Rich Eckler.
Listen to Tue and Thur.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Brazos County Master Gardeners invite you to their next Get Christian on Highway 6. More than 10 churches in the Brazos Valley are hosting a concert at Our Savior's Lutheran Church entitled A Night of Building Hope, benefiting BCS Habitat for Humanity. Join them on Saturday.
There we go.
Check. Mike.
Hey, Harley, can you hear me? All right, just making sure. Hey, do we have Home Spark again for the sponsor? All right, thank you.
Beliucci Hour is back at the tap every Monday and Thursday at noon. I'm Chelsea Reber for Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably. Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay. Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're
Previously on the Paul Feinbaum Show.
How are you, Lance?
Pretty funny how y'all spent all year running your mouth about this may be the greatest Alabama team of all time.
We sure did.
Who,
We made Clemson was the greatest team of all time.
And you couldn't even get it done, Paul. What about them Gators? I mean, you're running your mouth after week 2 like the season was over.
Hey, Lance, you're comparing playing Clemson versus playing Michigan?
Michigan was one game away from the playoffs. Maybe a push at all. I mean, they playing in the damn basketball conference, Paul.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How do you think the Gators? Hey, slow down a second. We're not going to lose. If you're going to scream and holler and cry like a baby, we can't. I'm gonna have to put on earmuffs. How do you think the Gators would have handled Clemson on Monday night?
You want to know how the Gators will play against Clemson? Just check out the game this year, son. You better watch out for the ball in there.
It's the Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fun Center. 2 to 4 weekdays on the Zone.
Welcome back to the Beliucci. It is so apparent and contrasting. We thought about this team going into the year, and then where were they at once the Gator Bowl concluded. Obviously, 4 early entries into the NFL. The season ended now for to do with the. I think most Aggie fans would even tell you, hey, even if you're really what's going to be coming in 2019 on the schedule, as we welcome in Mr. Beliucci for another semester of the Beliucci Hour. We yard yacht.
No, I don't.
He figured. I guess I liked
Taylor and the Rams.
I like Josh Reynolds.
Good a guy.
I like Josh Reynolds. I've always liked Dak. He's got some connection here and been on stage, and I think pre-LSU. It was pre-signing day. It was pre-Gator Bowl. So in the 3 months that's happened, or the 2 months that's happened since we've been on here, what has been your biggest thing to take note of in terms of the trajectory of this program, but want it to be?
I think obviously the biggest thing that's happened is the LSU game, and we don't need to. I'm not even going to spend a second talking about how significant that was. We've all beat it into the ground. Everyone listening's talked it over with their friends. You've read about it, talked about it, watched it, rewatched it. It goes without saying what that meant. To follow that up in bowl game and to win it as emphatically as A&M did and to make it such a feel-good night, you know, if you pay attention, that in conjunction with the LSU game kind of put the college football world on notice, and everyone got the memo. Now you see A&M ranked in all these preseason top 10s, which might be a little premature considering who A&M lost, but it might not be considering, like I said, their trajectory. So it was the combination of LSU and that bowl game and how good they looked in that bowl and how you just kind of look at A&M and Jimbo Fisher and the program, you go, they are about to arrive.
Well, I think in terms of
college football scene,
national attention, that signing day, so that signing period certainly helped.
Signing day too, top
because,
5.
Yeah,
goes
they're sitting
into
at
the
number 3 right now, and with one more signing day come shoot up for the Stars and really close this thing out with, 2, maybe 3 big-time names that will be.
Started it early, really 2 spots probably that we're talking about. You're right. That was that
just
goes into the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're doing this on the field already. They're a young team. They finally broke through at a level where we're seeing their name mentioned with Bama and Georgia and Clemson and teams like that. So all of it ties together to go. And then football, they're going to be a bear.
The schedule is a bear.
The schedule is. Look at Clemson this past season. Bryant left, and it was when Trevor Lawrence got one of only, 3 next year when they come in. So the Aggies are going to be tough on
out of that Sugar Bowl game at all, playoff.
1. Worse, against 17.
Yep.
But anyway, the point is, that's what I took away from that, though. And then Georgia lost a ton. Defense was absolutely wiped out, and I know Trevor Lawrence against that A&M secondary, and it's, unfortunately, that's one of those where
maybe they won't be in rhythm yet when
or maybe their defense won't be where it will be at the end of the year because Lord knows they're going to have plenty of talent. So you just never know. I mean, Miami was supposed to wipe the floor with LSU.
Year, yeah.
So I think here's what I think. The Aggies are going to be a better front than it caught in there. And a award winner. He could have been an all-SEC. He would have been preseason all-SEC lineman. They lost Jay Sternberger, who would have been a preseason first-team All-American, especially if they were to go trending.
2019 season and look ahead to 2019. Beliucci Hour lunch. We'll be right back.
The best results for you. Steve Gustitis, attorney at law.
Looking for a place to meet friends, Grabs to do just that for news and more are sure to satisfy whatever craving you have. And being in SEC country, the Tap is a great place to meet before, during, or after the gander.
We've created a new way. Days. Then, if rates go up, your rate stays in, or go to Rocket More. Exclusions may apply.
The best laundromat, washers, and dryers, which are very hard to find. The best burgers in town? That's also Harvey Wash Bangers. Now, you can go old school like the Banger Burger, or you creation from Chef Michael.
New season from the Zone 102.7 F. It's
on a Monday afternoon, 12:21 here at the Tap on Harvey Road. You're driving around looking for something to come to eat for lunch. Come check out the Tap's great lunch menu, $8.49 burger basket. After the LSU win, after signing.
What position group?
Because they all, I think Kellen played better in the end, on the whole, than people thought.
I'm going to leave 1 total touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He had about, again, I go to the 13 the year. Not All-American, not SEC, all heading into next season. I can promise you that.
Well, listen,
interceptions thrown. Again, that's picks. So everything else, is equal. Is interceptions. In fact, Kellen threw a lot more passes. Number 1 unit heading into the year. I'd have to narrow it down. You thought they had it in them. I have to say,
Packer was good.
Tight ends not apples to apples. Biggest surprise of the season for anything A&M football related. But if you're just talking about a position and a unit, the offensive line, they were going up and down the field until the end there. So
until McCoy got hurt.
And so I think as a level in the SEC front.
Just gashed a good run defense.
And look, let's not forget, Travion Williams ran for 200 yards against LSU. Now, it was hard earned on 35 carries. But he went for 198 against LSU as the line would be the most improved unit from start of year to end. And it was a big question mark when Jamon came back and when with the way in guys that we didn't see this year coming out of Georgia. So that position, high round draft pick. Yeah,
Courtney Davis, and that brings me in season compared to what he'd done in the past. Is it easy offensively that it's Courtney Davis? Eccles played well.
Yes. I remember against that Clemson game, you're just going, man, he just can't do it. Can't block Cleveland Farrell. You face Jared Allen. And you get where Dan Moore was. Because I said before, I said it on air, Courtney has made some big plays and had some big games this year. Kendrick, it was like his 5 of the 20 best catches I've ever seen at A&M this year in 2 games. But Courtney, he had a big –
Scorched South Carolina.
He had the monster game against LSU where he not only had what I think will go down as the most clutch catch in Texas A&M football history outside of Matt Bumgardner in the bonfire game. Like in terms of degree of difficulty, it literally
it's going to be up there.
It literally happened as time expired in traffic against an elite SEC defense.
Matt Bumgardner, Sir Parker,
send the game into overtime. Yeah, it is as big time a catch as an A&M receiver has ever made. And then on top of that, what gets lost in the shuffle, he also scored. Technically, he scored the game winner. Kendrick with the 2-point conversion to win it. But that touchdown on that slant where he dusted, I think it was Kerry Vincent. But
it was Kerry Vincent.
But he was cooking greedy a couple times too. But on that skinny post, that was 3rd and 14 there. Or A&M was going to be facing 4th and 14 to lose.
I think people, because of Kendrick's path to receivers in that class in the state, I went and saw him against Cy-Fair.
C.D. Lamb wasn't that year.
Yeah, it was.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
It was a year after.
Yeah, C.D.'s a year younger. But it was him and one other guy. Hold on, let me come back to that. But we also hear a catch at Texas A&M. A&M was about, a pilot all year.
Just like if Caleb Chapman doesn't come back from that knee injury right away, as an A&M fan base, like you don't give up on that kid. Like it's going to take him a while to player here. But if it doesn't happen, that Arkansas week he was going, or the week after Arkansas he was.
No, it was it the week after. I think
Jamon got hurt against Arkansas, right?
No, but I think it was actually like a Gumby doll.
ULM.
I think game, and he was people catching football, and if you add that, whether it's him or Kendrick next year, who I think is capable too, but that sideline, and Caleb I think is the most gifted at that I've seen here anyway since Mike Evans. If he can go up and catch those balls, it changes everything for the tight. If you've got a guy like that, a tight end, that's Kelvin Benjamin, and it could be title, and that will allow us doing that those last couple games. I'm telling you, offensively with these pieces and these running backs like Corbin and Isaiah Spiller that can catch, and the power backs like Cordarian Richardson and Vernon Jackson. I mean, the pieces that they have in place and the talent, albeit now back, and you go, okay, we're going to put Kendrick over here and Caleb on this side and Courtney in the slot,
and Baylor Cup,
and we'll have Baylor Cup or Jalen Watermeyer or physical blocker.
1150 the zone.
1150 and the zone 102.7 FM. Men pulling on their vehicle's door handle. The B trunk open in another says to call law enforcement.
Then for somebody to wait, their
dogs are going to be complete. Find more information about fostering on their website. Reber on Sports Radio 1150.
Insurance by bundling home and auto. Are there any other things not through emotion?
Progress discounts not available in all states or situations. If you missed the Louis Beliucci Show powered by Team of Navasota, you missed.
In the year 2020, A&M will probably play a 2-game schedule of at Alabama, and that's my way too early prediction.
Listen in.
We're coming out of the break, and
Liucci got into the most improved offensive player of the year in 2018. So let's flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. A guy that you thought playing here So
I thought Otaro Laka was which was really impressive. So he,
of all those senior defensive linemen had one more year because they all
a lot of different schemes, different coaches, different systems. To kind of changing it up after that, and he struggled. Didn't really connect with the players. Hagen, I said Holka.
Yeah.
Didn't really connect with the guys, but a really good man. And he's doing. Got fired, so sometimes maybe you shouldn't be quite as wishy-washy. He's been a guy that's been wishy-washy. If you look at his career path, he's done that, and I had people think very similar once before. If you go, it was like 3 jobs in a very short time, but. It was such a disaster, right? He's a terrific hire. It was the end of Aranda inserted himself in. You almost got him. And, I mean, yeah. And so, but Elijah Robinson's a godsend, I think, for the program, and watch how he recruits. I also think he screwed up everything. He was so damn disruptive. He was like a poor man's Aaron Donald for A&M. Not a guy with a lot of length, but incredibly explosive and just manhandled blockers and oftentimes multiple blockers and disrupted everything in the backfield.
So I think because of the depth there at defensive line, I think A&M can withstand a little bit of that. But who that most improved?
Defense?
No.
Defense?
Because we don't talk about him before the season. Was Seth Small. I thought he came in and did a very admirable job to kick field goals as well. And I thought
Wait a second. Who was the punter last year for A&M?
Oh, that's right.
This is his first year.
Yeah.
And he set an all-time eternity ago. But, yeah, shame the Ray Guy Award and the best season coming in and do it.
Well, Caden Davis can. Caden Davis.
I think he's a football. I think it'll be Caden. Now I know it was his first year, but once you block Josh Allen as an guys, but he always seemed to bounce back, and Lord knows he has the leg to do it. So I think he's going to be a really good.
A perfect world, you'd redshirt Caden Davis
for sure,
and then you space out those kickers.
That would be perfect.
Yep.
That would absolutely. Okay.
So on the other side, we'll come to the Beliucci Hour lunch live on Sports.
Mistakes can land you on the wrong side of the law. It's experience fighting felony and misdemeanor charges. Steve Costidis can put the law.
Tasty food. Being in SEC country, the Tap is a great place to meet them.
Bryan College Station Toyota, Prosperity Bank,
Aggie Athletics, Sports Radio 1150, and The Zone 102.7 FM.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your... And sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're... So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover guitar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill.
Host of Checkpoint XP, Gaming 50, and The Zone 1 every Saturday night from 10 till midnight. You can hear
household name amongst
Baylor Cup, but I think you got Beal and Weidemeyer in the mix there too. So I think I'm going to actually I'm going to give you one and say Luke Matthews. I want to say
That'd
Corbin.
Be huge.
I want to say Corbin, but I think there's a certain level of expectation and be starting lineup up front and maybe being a break.
Yeah,
I don't even know where
the kid because
it's not. I mean, I'm not putting the guy in a bad spot.
But
He's
there,
a red shirt.
But there will be people understanding what his last.
I think, not wrong. Maybe a true freshman. No, he played as he started in his second year.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think it's putting too much on him. It's just a matter of. Which is interesting. You say that about a
redshirt,
about a redshirt freshman, and about an O lineman. If you really want, I do too.
And we don't talk about Justin Adebike, top 2-round draft pick coming out if he comes out next year.
I mean, I think he's potential top 15 pick for the scouts I talked. Now he's got to build on last season, but he was. I mean, you watch him in that bowl game. Good Lord!
You know what?
He's
too
unbelievable.
Here's another name I'll let you kick.
Neil Bates, because as I started to say it, I was going to say Bobby Brown. In conference and future's gone on or what?
But I like the Clemens pick too, especially if national media outlets have not stated a retraction about saying a threatening letter to Ms. Sumlin was not an Aggie but a University of Texas graduate.
No, it doesn't say. You probably just read and throw. I mean, I know it's not something you read and throw out. It found it. It wasn't like Shar went and checked the mail. So, number one, thank goodness that man got caught. Number two, first of all, it was an error. How do you think that made the guy running the program and his family feel about being here. I mean, that's the sad, pitiful act that this guy did. There was that going on. There were people, there was some conspiracy that this was a way to get, almost like it was an inside job, which I thought was the most thing I heard during the whole thing, were people that believed that. And then it turns out that it was a Longhorn. So all these people that made this into a big story about not just that this country sometimes really can breed so much hate. It's disturbing and scary, but also that people decided to take this into a, hey, crazy A&M fan, and this is the A&M fans and how they treat an African-American head coach at that place. Those people that did that, shame on you, and I wish I could put my hands on you today. I wish I could hurt you. But instead of that happening to them, or instead of being held accountable, they're just going to sit back and act like it never happened. Because you tweet something and you just move on. Right? It's as salacious to come back with the second part of the story. I happen to think it really is. This is one step behind.
They would have to own up to it, Luch.
Yeah, it's more psychotic. I mean, poisoning trees is such a premeditated act, but so is writing a letter and putting it in the mail and threatening someone and using racial slurs. So, I mean, they're equally as psychotic here.
I'm going to hold on to these other three questions because they're pretty good. We'll get to them next week. I didn't know Luch was going to, but I liked that you went along. You went a ways on that and said what you needed to say, and it was really good. So, going to hold these other three questions. One Beliucci Hour lunch. Louie is on the other side of the break.
We know how much you value your child's education. That's why we here at Bryan Broadcasting started the half-price tuition campaign.